Chapter 6.4, Day 1, we're looking at vectors and dot products. We're going to find the dot product of two vectors and use the properties of the dot product, and find the angle between two vectors and determine whether two vectors are orthogonal. So first of all, the definition of the dot product. The dot product of u, u1, u2, and v, which is v1, v2, is when you multiply them, u times v, you're multiplying the u1 times v1, and you're adding it to the u2 times v2. Okay, so it's not just multiplying them all together, it's just multiplying the horizontal component, or the x's, by the vertical component, the y's. So properties of the dot product, so just similar to some arithmetic rules that we know, that u times v, or some properties that we know, is u times v equals v times u, and 0 times v is 0. U times v plus w, so you can distribute that u times v plus u times w. This is the one that's probably a little newer to us. V times v, that's the one we're going to use, is equal to the magnitude of, it's v and then squared, right? The magnitude of that, and it's squared. Number 5, c times u times v. So you could just distribute to one of them. So distribute it either to the u or distribute it to the v to multiply it together. So again, the one we're going to use later on is this one. So let's find the dot products. Find each dot product. So we have 4, 5 times 2, 3. So let's multiply this. So you're going to multiply your x's together, the horizontals together, and then the verticals together, and you add them. So this is going to be 4 times 2 plus 5 times 3. So 4 times 2 is 8 plus 15. So therefore, this is 23. And that's it. For letter B, we're going to multiply the x's, 2 times 1 plus negative 1 times 2. So this is 2 minus 2, or 0. Number 3, this is 0 times 4 plus 3 times negative 2, so 0 minus 6, or a negative 6. So go ahead and try these 3 examples here. Trying this out, you would have gotten negative 6, negative 37, and 0. Example 2, we're using properties of the dot product. So let u be negative 1, 3, and v is 2, negative 4, and w is 1, negative 2. We're to find each quantity. So one thing you could do is right away, you can figure out what u times v is, and then figure out what u squared is. But let's just do it all at once. Let's do it all together. So u times v, so let's multiply this, and then we'll multiply the w at the end. So we're going to multiply negative 1, 3, negative 1, 3, so that's our u, times the v, which is 2, negative 4, and then at the end we'll go ahead and multiply the w. So this is going to be negative 1 times 2 plus 3 times negative 4. So that's negative 1. So negative 2 minus 12. And so that's going to be negative 14. And we're going to multiply that to the w, which is 1 comma negative 2. So all of these, we're still multiplying the w to it. And then so now this becomes negative 14 and positive 28. So notice what we get. This, and the homework is going to ask you to label it as either scalar or a vector. And so notice that this is a vector when you have it here in component form. Letter B, we have u times 2v. So u is negative 1, 3, and we're going to do the 2 times v, which is 2 and negative 4. So what we could do is that we could just factor out this 2 to the outside and then multiply it to u times v. So take it out, and then remember that u times v, we actually know that already. U times v is this negative 14. So let's do that. Let's make this a little simpler because we did the work already. So therefore, that is going to be negative 28. And this would be a scalar. Okay, letter C. So we know from previously that, or just what I showed you earlier, is that the magnitude squared equals u times u. So if we're trying to find this, then therefore that is going to be the square root of u times u. So now let's work out this problem. We know that u is negative 1, 3, and we're multiplying it. So this is just going to be, a faster way to do it is, well, you know that it's -1 times -1, right? Because this is just -1, 3, and then times -1, 3, like this. So it's -1 times -1, or to make it easier, is we can just say that the -1 to -1, we're just going to square it. So I'm just going to square this instead of writing it as -1. So let's write it this way instead. This is going to be -1 squared plus a 3 squared. Okay, so we're just using the properties of multiplication, properties of the dot product. So when you do that, you're going to get the square root of 1 plus 9, or the square root of 10. So that is the magnitude of u. So go ahead and try these 3 examples here. It's very simple, similar to the one before. So trying this out, for letter A, you should have gotten -36, 108, so that's a vector. Letter B, you get 43, so that wasn't a trick. It was a good reminder of how to add vectors together, u plus v, and then so you should have gotten 110, and then you multiply it to u 3, 4, which is 3, 4. And then letter C, very similar to the last problem, you would get square root of 40, or 2 root 10.